The first thing anyone noticed was the sound. It was not thunder. It was not a plane. It was a hard, ripping noise, like a giant zipper opening in the sky. People on the sidewalk looked up. So did the Vought camera crew. They were filming a feel-good segment with a smiling Soup and a crowd of paid fans. There were lights. There was a little stage. There were branded water bottles. Then the sky cracked again. A dark streak fell straight down, too fast to be normal. It was not fire like a meteor. It was black. It looked wet, even from far away. It hit the street half a block from the stage. The impact punched a shock through the ground. Car alarms screamed at once. A delivery van jumped on its suspension and slid sideways. A street sign snapped. People stumbled and fell into each other. For half a second, there was silence. Then a crater breathed. Black liquid climbed up the broken street like it was alive. It gathered itself, thick and heavy, pulling into a shape that was wrong for anything human. A head formed, a body formed, long arms, shoulders that rose like armor, white eyes that did not blink. Then the mouth opened, rows of teeth, too many. A tongue that moved like a snake. People screamed. Phones came up, almost by habit. A few of the Vought crew kept filming because that was what they did when they were scared. One producer whispered, "Keep rolling," like the words were a shield. The creature turned its head, slow and sharp, scanning the crowd. It looked hungry. It looked like a nightmare that learned how to stand. Inside the black shell, a man's thoughts were loud and messy. No, not here. Not like this. He tried to breathe, but the air smelled new. Different city, different noise, different fear. A voice answered from inside him, deep and pleased. New world. New food. "Stop!" the man hissed through clenched teeth. The creature's jaw flexed. Its tongue slid out and tasted the air. "We protect," the voice said, like it was stating a rule. The man swallowed. "We protect," he repeated, forced calm. The creature took one step forward. A piece of stage lighting, loosened by the impact, fell from a rig above the sidewalk. It swung down toward a group of people who were too busy staring at the monster to move. A little kid froze. His father grabbed his arm, but his feet would not work. The falling light was going to hit them. The creature moved. It did not run like a person. It flowed. It launched itself in a blur of black muscle, crossing the distance before the father could even blink. A wide sheet of black surged from its arm like a living shield. It caught the falling metal with a loud clang. The force bent the steel. The shield held anyway. People screamed again, because the save looked like an attack. The creature pushed the metal away and set it down like it weighed nothing. Then it turned its head toward the kid. The kid stared up at the white eyes and the teeth. His face crumpled. Inside the creature, the man pushed his thoughts forward like a hand on a leash. Easy, slow. Don't scare him more. The creature lowered itself, almost like a crouch. Its mouth closed part way. The teeth still showed. The deep voice inside tried to sound gentle, and somehow that made it worse. Small one. Safe. The kid screamed and ran behind his father. The father backed away, dragging the kid, eyes wide. He did not say thank you. He did not know if this thing wanted to eat them next. The Vought producer found her voice again. "Cut to wide." "Wide!" she shouted. "Get the Soup on camera." The smiling Soup on the stage, some mid-level member of the Seven's wide orbit, stared at the crater like his brain had stopped. He was used to easy scripts. He was used to applause. This wasn't applause. He lifted his hands and tried to glow or spark or do whatever his power was supposed to do. Nothing came out. Or maybe it did. But it did not matter. The creature's head snapped toward him. It could smell fear. It could hear the Soup's heartbeat trip over itself. The man inside it spoke quickly, low. "We are not here for him," he said. "We could be," the other voice replied. "Not," the man repeated. The creature's shoulders tightened like it was annoyed. A police siren wailed in the distance. Then another. Then 3 more. The sound cut through the street, sharp and rising. The creature flinched. It was small, but real, like a reflex it hated. The man inside it noticed. He stored that away without meaning to. The Vought crew noticed too. A sound guy leaned toward his boom mic, eyes narrowed, like he had just found a trick. "Did you see that?" he whispered. A shadow passed over the street. The sunlight dimmed. People looked up again. A man hovered above the crater, cape hanging like a flag. He was smiling down at the crowd like he had planned this entrance. His eyes were calm. Too calm. Homelander. The crowd's fear shifted, not leaving, just changing shape. Some people cried with relief. Some people whispered prayers. Some people recorded harder, like this was the best thing that ever happened to them. Homelander lowered a few feet, floating like it was as easy as breathing. He gave the cameras his best angle. "Everyone stay calm," he said, voice warm and smooth. "You're safe now." Then his gaze slid off the crowd and locked on the black creature. The smile did not reach his eyes anymore. "What the hell are you?" he asked, still sounding polite. The creature straightened to its full height. It was taller than most men, broader too. It looked like it was wearing night as a suit. Inside, the man's stomach tightened. He knew that tone. He knew the kind of person who used it. The deep voice inside him rumbled with interest. Strong. Homelander drifted closer. The air around him felt tight, like pressure before a storm. The creature's mouth opened again. The teeth showed. The tongue curled. The man forced the words out because he needed to set the rule before the first punch landed. "We protect," he said. Homelander tilted his head, like he was humoring a child. "That's cute," he said. "But this is my city." The creature's eyes narrowed, and for a split second, the cameras caught something else. The black face rippled. A human face flashed beneath it. Sweat. Fear. Stubborn eyes. Like someone behind a curtain for just one breath. Then it was gone. The producer gasped, hand over her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. "There's someone inside that thing." Homelander's eyes sharpened. He smiled again, but it was not warm this time. "Oh," he said softly. "So you're not alone." The creature's shoulders rose. Inside, the man thought one clear thought. "Get out. Now." And the deep voice inside him answered, almost playful. "After we bite him." "Stop saying that out loud," the man hissed. Homelander's smile widened, like he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. And the whole city held its breath, waiting to see which monster would move first. In a dim room full of screens, Billy Butcher leaned forward like a man watching a car crash he had been promised. The video played again. A black thing fell out of the sky. A crater. Teeth. Screams. The save that looked like a slaughter. Then Homelander, floating like a god made of ego. Butcher paused the clip right on the moment the black face rippled. A human face beneath. Butcher's eyes narrowed. He rewound. He watched it again. He watched it again. "Tell me you saw that," he said. Huey stood behind him, arms folded tight across his chest. His face was pale. "Yeah," Huey said quietly. "There's a person in there." Frenchie was at the side table, half sitting, half bouncing on his heel. He looked excited in the worst way, like a kid who had found fireworks. "A new soup," Frenchie said. "But not like the others. Look at it move." Mother's Milk didn't share the excitement. He had his jaw set. His eyes tracked every frame like he was reading a threat. "That ain't a regular soup," MM said. "That's a problem." Kimiko sat on the floor near the wall, quiet. Her eyes stayed on the moment the creature saved the people from the falling light. She didn't look away. Butcher grunted. Everything's a problem. The question is, can we point this one at the right target? Huey swallowed. He saved that kid. Butcher turned just enough to look at him. Homelander also smiles at kids, Butcher said. Doesn't make him a saint. Starlight was not in the room, but she was there in the tension, like a ghost they all knew was watching. Huey's voice got tighter. This thing didn't show up for Vought. It fell out of the sky. That matters. Butcher stared back at the screen. Yeah, he said. And you know what else matters? He pointed at Homelander's face on the paused frame. The moment he realizes he can't control something. Butcher stood up. He walked to the table and picked up a cheap paper cup. He shook it. Empty. Where's the coffee? He asked, annoyed. Frenchie raised both hands. I made it yesterday. You drank it. Butcher sighed like this was a personal betrayal. Right, he said. So now we've got no coffee and a mystery murder blob falling from space. Huey didn't laugh. He couldn't. On the screen, the monster's mouth opened. The teeth filled the frame. Then the human face flickered under it again. Look, Huey said, pointing. That's not a mask. It's covering him. MM's eyes stayed hard. A parasite. Kimiko made a small sound in her throat. Not a word. A warning. Frenchie leaned closer to the monitor. Or a partner, he said. 2 minds. 1 body. Butcher's lips curled. Great. A 2-for-1 deal. He turned to Huey. Find out who the bloke is, Butcher said. Name, history, anything. If he's human, he'll leave a trail. Huey blinked. How? Butcher's grin was thin. Same way we always do. We steal it. Across the city, in a tower that looked clean from the outside and rotten from the inside, Stan Edgar sat in a conference room with people who were afraid to speak first. On the wall, the same clip played on a large screen. Better quality. Multiple angles. Drone footage. Street cameras. Vought cameras. Edgar's face did not change. A woman in a lab coat spoke carefully. We've never seen biomaterial like that. It's alive. It reacts. A man in a suit cleared his throat. The markets. Edgar raised one finger, and the man stopped like a machine losing power. Edgar looked at the screen where the monster flinched at the distant sirens. He noted it, not with emotion, with interest. Containment, Edgar said. A security chief shifted. Sir, Homelander is already on scene. Edgar nodded once. And that is why we must move faster than him. He clicked a remote. The screen switched to a still frame of the human face under the black mass. Whoever that is, Edgar said, is our entry point. The lab coat woman swallowed. Sir, we don't know if we can safely separate them. Edgar's voice stayed calm. I didn't ask if we could safely do it. I asked what it would take to do it. Silence filled the room. Edgar leaned back slightly. Bring it in alive, he said. If it lives, it can be understood. If it can be understood, it can be controlled. He paused. And if it can be controlled, he finished, it can be sold. In the tunnels below the city, the man inside the monster ran, not fast like a man, fast like a thing that could throw itself across spaces that should have been impossible. Black tendrils slapped against concrete, pushing off walls, pulling them around corners. Water dripped from pipes. Rats scattered. The man tried to focus on the sound of his own breathing. It wasn't just his breathing, it was theirs. Okay, he whispered. Okay, we are not staying near that guy. He was strong, the deep voice replied. Yes, the man snapped. So we don't fight him in the open? We could win. The man almost laughed at the confidence. It came from pure instinct and pure hunger. You don't even know where we are, he said. We are here, the voice answered. Like that solved it. The man pressed a hand against the inside of his own head, as if that could push the other voice back. He slowed near a wide maintenance room. Old equipment sat in piles, rusted tools, broken panels. Someone had been living here once. Not anymore. The black mass loosened, and for a moment the man's face was visible in the dark. He was breathing hard. His hair was damp. His eyes were tired. Then the black climbed back up, forming the shape again, because the shape made him safer, or at least harder to kill. He listened. Above, faintly, the city moved. Traffic, footsteps, voices, far-off sirens. That sound again. The creature's shoulders twitched. The man noticed it and frowned. "Don't," he whispered. "It hurts," the voice said, suddenly less playful. "Okay," the man said, softer. Then we avoid it. The silence broke when a small device rolled into the room. It was no bigger than a hockey puck. It blinked red. The creature's head snapped down. The man's heart kicked. "Is that—" The puck popped, releasing a thick cloud of smoke that smelled like chemicals. The man coughed. His eyes watered. "Trap," the voice growled. The creature lunged, tendrils shooting out like spears. A hidden speaker on the wall crackled. "Easy, mate," a man's voice said, calm but sharp. "Don't do anything stupid." The man turned toward the sound, squinting through the smoke. "Who are you?" he shouted. The voice on the speaker chuckled. "Name's not important," it said. "What is important is this. Vought's coming. Homelander's coming. And you? You're new." The man's stomach tightened. "How do you know that?" he demanded. "We've got eyes," the voice said. "And we've got a problem with soups." The creature leaned toward the speaker, teeth showing. "We bite him," the deep voice said. "Stop," the man hissed through the mouth that wasn't fully his. The speaker paused. "Right," the voice said, sounding unsettled. "So there's two of you. That's fun." The man blinked, realizing he had just confirmed it. "You set off the smoke," he said. "You could have gotten people hurt." "We did it down here," the voice replied. "No civilians, just you." The man's thoughts raced. Someone had found them fast. Someone had planned. That meant Vought could do it too. The speaker crackled again. "I'm offering you a deal," the voice said. "You help us, we help you disappear." The man swallowed. "Disappear from who?" A new voice answered, not from the speaker, but from the tunnel entrance, behind the smoke. A woman's voice, calm, real, not trying to sound brave. "From them," she said. The creature whirled. A young woman stepped into view, hands up, careful. Blonde hair, plain clothes, no Vought branding. But there was something in her posture, like she knew exactly how dangerous this moment was. Starlight. Her eyes locked on the black creature's face. "I'm not here to fight you," she said. The man inside the creature stared, confused. "Who are you?" Starlight's lips tightened. "Someone who knows what it's like to be trapped in a story other people wrote for you." The deep voice inside him went quiet for once, listening. Above, far away, helicopters chopped through the air. Somewhere in the city, Homelander was still hunting. Smile gone, patience burning out. And down in the tunnels, the monster and the girl and the unseen man on the speaker all stood on the edge of the same question. Was the new thing in this world going to be a weapon? Or was it going to be something worse? The next day, Vought made it look like a holiday. They put up banners. They rolled out trucks with free merch. They hired crowds. They placed cameras in perfect spots, like chess pieces. The event had a name, Vought Cares. It had a slogan, "Safety starts with us." It also had a trap inside it. Stan Edgar stood in a quiet office and watched the live feeds with the same calm he used for stock reports. On one screen, a random gas leak was about to happen in a random building across from the stage. On another, A bus full of random school kids was routed down a street it never used. On a third, a sound technician tested a set of new speakers and smiled when the feedback squealed. Edgar did not smile. "Begin," he said. In a van parked 3 blocks away, Billy Butcher watched the same event on a hacked feed. "This is bait," said, jaw tight. "No kidding," Butcher replied. Huey sat with his hands on his knees, bouncing one leg. He looked like he wanted to jump out of his own skin. "You said we weren't using civilians," Huey snapped. Butcher didn't look at him. "We're not. Vought is. That's worse," Huey said. Frenchie leaned over a small metal case. Inside were parts, wires, and a device that looked like it belonged in a junk drawer and a science lab at the same time. "What is that?" Huey asked. Frenchie grinned without humor. "Insurance." Kimiko watched through the front windshield, eyes narrowed at the distant Voot banners. Her fingers flexed like she wanted to tear the whole setup apart. Butcher tapped his earpiece. "Oi," he said. "Our new friend. You seeing this?" In a dark apartment across town, the black creature crouched near a cracked window. It had chosen a place high enough to watch, low enough to escape. The man inside it, Eddie, watched the bright Vought stage like it was a lie made of light. He had learned enough since last night. The smiling girl had not attacked him. That mattered. The angry voice on the speaker, Butcher, had tried to bargain like a man selling a knife. That mattered too. Eddie's phone was old, but it worked. Starlight had left him a number on a torn piece of paper and a warning. "They will paint you as a monster. They will try to own you. Don't let them." Eddie stared at the screen. "This is a setup," he murmured. The deep voice inside him purred, excited. "Many people. Many eyes. Many snacks." "No," Eddie whispered. "We save them," the voice corrected, like it had learned the rules. Eddie's throat tightened. That rule could kill him, but it was also the only thing that made him feel like he was still himself. He watched the bus route on a city app he had barely figured out. He watched the way the crowd was placed like a wall around the stage, and he watched Homelander arrive, hovering above the banners like the world's worst angel. Homelander waved. The crowd screamed with joy. Eddie felt sick. "You see him?" Butcher's voice crackled in Eddie's ear through a small earpiece Starlight had given him, stolen from somewhere she refused to name. Eddie didn't answer at first. Homelander's smile was too perfect. It wasn't a smile that said, "I'm happy." It was a smile that said, "You are watching me." Eddie swallowed. "Yeah," he said. "I see him." Butcher's voice stayed low. "You want to do the right thing, yeah? Then you get in, you grab what we need, and you get out." "What do you need?" Eddie asked. "Proof," Butcher said. "Anything that shows what Vought is doing." Eddie stared at the stage again. "That's your plan," he said. "Expose them." Butcher snorted. "Don't get all romantic. It's leverage." Eddie felt the other voice pushing at his thoughts, impatient. "We go. We protect. We bite." Eddie clenched his jaw. "We are not biting everyone. Just the bad ones," the voice insisted. Eddie did not have time to argue more, because the trap sprang. A loud boom sounded from the random building. A line of windows burst out with smoke. People screamed and stampeded. On the street, the bus swerved. It hit a car. Metal shrieked. The bus tipped, slow at first, then faster, rolling toward a line of people pinned against barricades. The crowd screamed. Homelander's head turned. For half a second, his eyes went blank, calculating. Saving people was easy for him. It was like lifting paper. But saving people was not the real goal today. Catching the monster was. Homelander floated in place, letting the fear grow, letting the cameras drink it in. Then he lifted one hand like he was blessing the street. "Everybody remain calm," he called. and still he didn't move. Eddie's stomach dropped. "That bus is going to crush them," Eddie whispered. "Then we go," the deep voice said. Eddie's hands shook. He hated that he was about to do this in front of the world's biggest predator. He hated that this was exactly what Vought wanted. But the screams were real. Eddie rose from the crouch. The black mass climbed over him like armor locking into place. Muscles formed, hands thickened. The mouth opened. The voice came out deeper, louder, not fully his. "We protect," it said. Then Venom jumped. It was not a leap, it was a launch. Venom crashed down near the tipping bus and threw a wall of black across the street. Tendrils anchored into the ground. The living web caught the bus's weight like a net catching a falling building. The bus groaned. The net held. People stared. A woman near the barricade gasped. "Is it saving us?" Venom pushed the bus back, muscles bulging under the black skin. It set the bus down with a heavy slam that shook the street. Children inside cried. A teacher pressed her hands to the windows, eyes wide, watching the monster like it was a nightmare doing a miracle. Venom turned toward them and lifted a hand, palm open, as if to say, "Go." The teacher didn't wait. She yanked the emergency door and started getting kids out. Cameras zoomed. Homelander descended, slow and smooth, landing on the hood of a car like it was a stage. His cape settled. He clapped once. "Well," Homelander said, loud enough for every mic. "Look at that." His smile was back. "Maybe you're not all bad," he said. Eddie felt cold anger in his chest. He didn't want praise from this man. He wanted distance. Venom's mouth curled, teeth showing. "He lies," the deep voice growled. Eddie whispered inside, "Don't." Homelander took one step forward. His boots crunched glass. "You know," he said, voice casual, "Vought can help you. We help special people all the time." Venom's head tilted. Eddie's stomach tightened. "We don't need help," he said. Homelander's eyes flicked to the cameras, then back to Venom. "That's not how it works," Homelander said softly, the warmth draining out. "In this world, everyone needs help." Venom's shoulders rose. The air around them felt tight. People backed away without being told. Even the paid fans looked unsure now. Homelander lowered his voice. "And if you're going to run around my city," he said, "you do it with my permission." Venom took one step forward. Homelander didn't move. He didn't need to. The fear around him was a weapon all by itself. Venom's voice came out rough. "We protect people," it said. "We don't do permission." Homelander's smile twitched. "Okay," he said. "Then we're going to do this the hard way." He moved first. To most people, it looked like he teleported. One moment he was in front of Venom. The next, he was behind, grabbing Venom by the back of the neck with one hand, lifting him like a sack. The street gasped as one. Homelander held Venom up for the cameras like a trophy. "See?" Homelander said, cheerful again. "Problem solved." Venom's body stretched, black matter flowing around Homelander's wrist like thick rope. Homelander's eyes narrowed. Venom didn't punch yet. It did something smarter. It covered Homelander's face. A sheet of black surged up like a hood, aiming for Homelander's eyes, his nose, his mouth, not to kill, to blind, to make him drop. Homelander snarled, and heat flashed from his eyes. The black mass hissed and peeled back, smoking at the edges. Venom screamed, not like a man screaming, but like something animal and furious. Eddie's mind jolted. Heat. Fire. The weakness was real. Homelander squeezed harder, trying to crush Venom's neck. Venom's neck didn't crush the way flesh should. It thickened. It reinforced. It turned into something like a tire made of muscle. Venom twisted in the air, using the grip like a pivot point. A tendril shot down and anchored into the street. Venom yanked. Homelander was strong, but he was also arrogant. He didn't expect the thing to pull him off balance. For the first time, Homelander's boots left the ground in a way he did not choose. The crowd screamed. Homelander caught himself midair and shoved Venom away, slamming him through a parked van. Metal folded. Glass exploded outward. Venom rolled out of the wreck, already healing, black skin knitting back into shape. Huey watched from the van, mouth open. "He just threw him through a van," Huey whispered. Butcher didn't look impressed. He looked hungry. "Good," Butcher muttered. "Make him angry." Shot him a look. "You're enjoying this." Butcher didn't deny it. Frenchie pressed a button on his device, testing a tiny speaker. It made a quick, sharp squeal. Venom flinched on the screen. Frenchie's eyes widened. "Ah," he breathed. "Hello?" On the street, Homelander hovered again, circling like a shark that had finally smelled blood. "You're tough," Homelander admitted, voice low, meant only for Venom now. "I like that." Venom's shoulders heaved. The burned edges on its skin were already smoothing out, but the pain had left a mark inside Eddie's thoughts. Eddie forced himself to think. He is stronger. He can fly. He can burn us. We cannot trade punches forever. Venom's voice rumbled in his chest. Then we changed the fight. Venom slammed both hands into the street. Black tendrils shot out in all directions, fast as whips. They wrapped around lampposts, cars, barricades, anything solid. Then Venom pulled. The whole space became a trap. Cars slid, barricades toppled. A giant sheet of debris and metal rose like a wall between Homelander and the crowd. It was not random destruction. It was a shield. People ran behind it, stumbling, crying, grabbing each other. Starlight, hidden near the edge of the crowd, watched with tight eyes. "It's protecting them," she whispered. Homelander's face twisted. He didn't like being blocked. He didn't like being ignored. He didn't like the crowd looking at Venom with questions in their eyes. His heat vision cut through the wall. Venom's black shield burned and tore, but it kept reforming, layering itself again and again. Eddie's breath came fast. "Move!" Venom shouted. Not to Homelander, but to the civilians. A few people actually listened. Some didn't, frozen by shock. Homelander shot forward, punching through the shield like it was paper. His fist slammed into Venom's chest. The impact sounded like a cannon. Venom flew backward, skidding through the street, carving a groove in the asphalt. Eddie's vision blurred inside the black shell. His ribs screamed. Venom's body absorbed it, spread it, kept him from snapping in half. He hits like a truck, Eddie thought. "We hit like hunger," Venom answered. Venom sprang up and fired a thick tendril at Homelander's ankle, wrapping it. Homelander yanked, expecting it to snap. It didn't. Venom used the line like a sling and hurled a full car toward Homelander, not at the crowd. At the air where Homelander hovered. Homelander caught the car with one hand and crushed it. Metal screamed. He tossed the wreck aside like it was trash. Then he smiled again, wide and pleased, like this was a game now. "That's it," Homelander said. "Give me something real." Venom's teeth bared. Eddie heard Butcher in his ear, urgent now. "Oi, new friend, if you can hear me, you need to get out. Vought's got more coming." As if to prove it, Black Noir appeared on a rooftop, silent as a shadow. He held something small in his hand, a blade. Venom's eyes snapped to him. Noir didn't pose. He didn't speak. He just dropped. He landed behind Venom without a sound and slashed at Venom's side, fast and precise. A strip of black matter came away like torn cloth. Venom roared and whipped around, but Noir was already moving, already gone, already climbing the wall like a spider. Eddie's stomach dropped. "They took a piece of us," Eddie whispered. They stole, Venom growled. Homelander laughed, like he loved that detail. "Oh, this is getting better," he said. "You're not just a soup, you're a resource." Venom's shoulders rose, breathing hard. Eddie's mind raced. If Vought had a piece, they could make more. They could test it. They could turn it into a leash. He looked at the civilians still running, still trapped in fear. He looked at Homelander, who was not saving anyone now. He looked at Noir, who had vanished with the stolen piece like it was nothing. Eddie made a choice. Not the clean choice. Not the easy one. The honest one. Venom slammed a tendril into a nearby speaker tower. It yanked the entire structure down, not onto people, but onto the street between them and the stage. The speakers hit the ground and shrieked as they broke. A high, ugly feedback squeal tore through the air. Venom flinched hard. Eddie's teeth clenched. Pain spiked through his skull like a needle. Homelander flinched too, just a little, because the sound was loud even for him. But Venom's flinch was bigger. Frenchie's eyes went wide in the van. "That frequency," he whispered. "That is it." MM grabbed his shoulder. "Can you weaponize that?" Frenchie stared at the screens, half thrilled, half scared. "We," he said softly. "But it will hurt him." Huey's voice cracked. "We can't," Butcher cut in. "We might have to." On the street, Homelander saw Venom's pain and smiled like a kid who had found a bruise to poke. "Aw," Homelander said. "Does the noise bother you?" Venom forced itself upright, shaking. Eddie's thoughts stuttered under the sound. "We can't stay. We can't win here. Not like this. Not with civilians. Not with cameras. Not with his lasers." Venom's voice was rough, fighting through pain. "Then we leave. But we don't leave them." Venom slammed both hands down again. Black matter spread across the street like a blanket, sealing cracks, forming ramps, building quick paths for people to escape the chaos. It pulled a fallen barricade aside with one hand and shoved people through the opening with the other. Some ran. Some looked back, stunned, because the monster was guiding them out. Starlight moved in the crowd, quietly directing people too, using her light in small bursts to point, not to fight. Homelander's patience snapped. "You don't get to be the hero here," he shouted. He dove. Venom turned and launched upward, not to meet him, but to slip past him. A tendril shot to a building, then another. Venom slingshotted across the street, fast and low, using the city like a jungle gym. Homelander chased through the air, faster in open space. But Venom didn't stay in open space. Venom hugged the city. It dove through narrow gaps. It cut between buildings. It used turns. Homelander couldn't take without smashing into concrete. Homelander's heat vision carved lines across walls, missing by inches. Venom dropped into an alley and vanished into the dark like it had never existed. Homelander hovered above the alley mouth, eyes glowing, scanning. His face was twisted with rage and something worse, embarrassment. All those cameras, all that setup, and the thing still got away. He lowered to the ground, boots landing hard enough to crack the pavement. He stared into the alley like he wanted to burn the whole block just to feel better. Then his eyes shifted to the nearest camera drone still hovering. He forced a smile back onto his face. He looked straight into the lens. "Don't worry," Homelander said, voice smooth again. "We're handling it." Behind his smile, his eyes said something else. "I'm going to tear you apart." In a Vought lab, miles away, a sealed case arrived. Inside it was a small black strip, pulsing like a heart. A scientist stared at it through glass and whispered, almost reverent, "It's alive." Stan Edgar watched from the doorway, hands behind his back. "Of course it is," he said. "And now it belongs to us." Deep underground, in a wet tunnel where the city's sound was muted, Eddie slid down a wall inside the black armor and tried to breathe. His hands shook. His ears rang from the feedback. Venom's breathing was heavy too, like an animal forced to run with a wound. Eddie swallowed and spoke inside, slow and clear. "We can't let them get more of you," he said. Venom's voice was quieter now, angry and tired. "They will try." Eddie closed his eyes. "And Homelander," Eddie whispered. "He's not a hero." Venom's teeth clicked in the dark. "We know." Eddie opened his eyes again, staring into the blackness of the tunnel like it could answer him. "We need a plan," he said. Venom's voice came back, low and certain. "We protect. We expose. We survive." Above them, the city kept cheering for its fake angels. And somewhere in that noise, the real war had just started. The city turned fear into content in less than an hour. Clips of the black monster saving the school bus played beside clips of it smashing a van. People paused the video at the teeth. They zoomed in on the white eyes. They slowed the moment it flinched at the speaker scream. Vought News Network put a clean banner across the bottom of the screen. Unknown threat attacks. Vought cares event. A smiling anchor spoke with the calm tone people used for weather. "We are hearing reports of an off-world soup," she said. "Some are calling it a parasite hero. Others say it is a bioweapon. Homelander has assured the public that Vought is handling the situation." The broadcast cut to Homelander in front of a wrecked street. His cape was spotless. His hair was perfect. The background looked messy on purpose. He smiled into the camera like he was doing a favor. "This thing is dangerous," Homelander said. "It pretends to help, but it hurts people. Vought will protect you." A reporter asked, "Is it true there's a human inside it?" Homelander's smile stayed up. His eyes didn't. "We don't know what's inside it," he said, "but we know what it does." Then he leaned closer to the mic, as if sharing a secret. "And whatever it is, it will be found." In a small safe house with peeling paint and blackout curtains, Billy Butcher watched that interview twice, then 3 times. He didn't look impressed. He looked like a man listening for the sound of a lock picking itself. "See that?" Butcher said, pointing at the screen. "He's not scared of the monster. He's scared of not being the main character." Mother's Milk stood with his arms folded, eyes heavy. "I'm scared of the body count when those two collide again," said. Huey sat on the couch, knees bouncing, the way they always did when he couldn't calm down. He stared at the part of the clip where the black creature pushed people through a gap in the barricade. "It didn't have to do that," Huey said. "It could have just left. It stopped to get people out." Butcher snorted. "Plenty of psychos do nice things sometimes. Doesn't make them safe." Frenchie didn't argue. He was at the table with a laptop, speakers, and a mess of wires. He kept replaying the feedback moment. The squeal hit. On screen, the creature flinched. Frenchie's eyes lit up like he'd found a key under a mat. "There," Frenchie whispered. "You see? Sound. Certain sound. Not all, but some." Huey frowned. "You're excited?" Frenchie shrugged, not denying it. "I'm scared. And when I am scared, I like having options." Kimiko sat on the floor near the wall, quiet. She had her knees up, arms around them. Her eyes followed the creature's body language more than its teeth. She didn't look at it like a monster. She looked at it like a trapped thing. Butcher clicked the video off. "All right," he said. "Here's what's real." He held up 2 fingers. 1. Vought wants it. Not dead. Owned. Another finger. 2. Homelander wants it gone, because it made him look normal for 5 seconds. He looked at Huey. And 3. If it's got a human inside, then it's got something to lose. That's leverage. Huey's face tightened. That's a person. Butcher's voice went flat. In this life, mate, everyone is leverage. stepped between them with his tone like a wall. "We don't know what it is," said. "We don't know what it needs. We don't know if it can control itself." Kimiko's hand moved. She signed fast. Huey translated, softer. She says, "It chose. Back there. It chose people." Butcher rolled his jaw. He didn't like that. It complicated things. "Fine," he said. "Then we talk to it again. But we do it smart." Frenchie tapped the laptop. "Smart means we keep the sound ready," Frenchie said. "Not to torture. To stop it if it bites someone's head off," Butcher finished, like it was nothing. Huey flinched. Butcher leaned closer, voice low. "Listen," Butcher said. "If it can hurt Homelander, even a little, we can use that." MM's eyes hardened. "Don't say use like it's a wrench." Butcher shrugged, like the difference didn't matter. Across the city, in a building that looked like clean glass and money, Stan Edgar met fear with silence. A Vought scientist spoke first, careful. "The sample is stable in containment," she said. "It responds to stimuli. It grows toward heat and movement. It also imitates." Edgar didn't blink. "Imitates what?" "Cells," she said. "Skin, muscle. It forms structures that act like weapons, blades, shields." Edgar nodded once. "Can it be replicated?" The scientist hesitated. "Possibly, but it may require a host." Edgar's eyes moved to the security footage on the wall. In one clip, Black Noir cut a strip off the creature. In another, the strip pulsed in a case like a living heartbeat. Edgar's voice stayed calm. "Then we will find the correct host," he said. A man in a suit cleared his throat. "Homelander is demanding access." Edgar didn't look at him. "Homelander demands many things." "Sir?" the man insisted, sweating. "He's unhappy." Edgar's mouth twitched, almost a smile, but not quite. "He is always unhappy," Edgar said. "That is not a business emergency. That is a personality." In another room, Homelander watched from a private lounge, jaw tight, eyes bright with anger. A handler tried to speak. "We're tracking leads, sir." Homelander turned his head slowly. The handler stopped talking. His throat bobbed like he'd swallowed a rock. Homelander smiled, and it was the kind of smile that made people say yes to anything. "You're tracking leads," Homelander repeated. "Great." He stood. "I'm going to track with my eyes," he said. "My ears. My hands." The handler swallowed. "Mr. Edgar asked." Homelander's smile dropped. "Did he?" Homelander asked softly. The handler took one step back. Homelander leaned closer, voice almost gentle. "If I want to find something," he said, "I find it." Then he walked out. He didn't fly. Not yet. He wanted the cameras to think he was calm. In an older, darker part of the city, Eddie Brock sat in a stolen apartment with one dirty window and one working sink. It wasn't home, but he didn't have home right now. He had a phone with 10% battery. He had a knot in his chest, and he had Venom, pacing inside him like a caged animal. "We should hunt him," Venom said. Eddie stared at a wall. "We're not hunting Homelander. He's bad." "Yes," Eddie said, "and he's also a walking tank." "We are a walking tank," Venom replied, offended. Eddie rubbed his face. His hands shook a little from the sound pain still echoing in his head. "We can't win by punching," Eddie said. "Not in this city. Not with people everywhere." Venom's voice turned sharper. "Then we eat the bad men quietly." Eddie's stomach tightened. "No." A beat of silence. Then Venom said, almost like a child asking why. "Why not? They hurt small ones." Eddie swallowed. Because the world didn't work like that. Because if he started deciding who deserved teeth, he would never stop. Because he already knew how easy it was to become the thing everyone feared. He spoke carefully, like he was talking someone off a ledge. "Because we don't become them," Eddie said. "Because we protect, not punish." Venom made an unhappy sound. "Protect is slow," Eddie almost laughed, then didn't. "Yeah," he said. "It is." His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I can meet. 5 minutes. No Vought, no boys, just talk." Eddie stared at it. He didn't like trusting anyone. But the last time he saw Starlight, she didn't try to sell him. She didn't try to cage him. Venom spoke before Eddie could decide. "She is bright. She is not like the others." Eddie frowned. "You like her because she glows." "We like her because she is honest," Venom corrected. Eddie exhaled, annoyed at himself for agreeing. "All right," he whispered. "We talk." In a quiet corner of an old parking structure, Starlight waited with her hood up and her hands empty. Her eyes flicked to every shadow. Not because she was scared of Eddie, because she was scared of everyone else. When Eddie arrived, he didn't arrive like a normal man. He arrived like a ripple in the dark. Venom formed around him, then peeled back just enough for Eddie's face to show. He didn't want to scare her more than necessary. Starlight's breath hitched anyway. "You're real," she said. Eddie frowned. "I'm standing here." "I mean," she said, stepping closer slowly. "I've seen a lot of lies. That thing on camera, it looked like a lie. Like a monster made for a story." Eddie's mouth tightened. "I'm not their story." Starlight nodded once. "Good," she said. "Because they already wrote one. They're calling you a threat. They're calling you a weapon." Eddie's eyes went cold. "They want to own me." "Yes," Starlight said. "And if they can't, they'll make you a reason for new laws, new weapons, new excuses." Eddie swallowed. "Why are you helping me?" Starlight's face flickered with something tired. "Because I remember what it felt like," she said, voice low, "when everyone smiled at me, and nobody saw me." A pause. Then Eddie asked the simplest question he had. "Are you safe?" he said. Starlight let out a short laugh with no humor. "No," she said, "but I'm still here." Venom's voice slipped out, too loud, too blunt. "We can keep you safe." Eddie's eyes widened. "No, no." Starlight blinked, startled, then exhaled. "So it talks," she said. Eddie rubbed his forehead. "He talks. He doesn't understand volume." "We understand volume," Venom snapped. "We choose volume." Eddie hissed. "Stop arguing like we're on a bus." Starlight stared for a second. Then, against her will, a small smile appeared. "That's actually kind of funny," she said. Eddie's face warmed with embarrassment. "Yeah, it's a lot." Starlight's smile faded as she leaned in. "Eddie," she said, tasting the name like it was new. "They got a piece of you." Eddie froze. "How do you know that?" Starlight's jaw set. "Because I heard a lab tech bragging about the sample. And because Black Noir was bleeding on a hallway floor this morning, and nobody bleeds around him unless something went wrong." Eddie's stomach sank. Venom's voice turned low and dangerous. "They stole our flesh." Eddie swallowed hard. "What are they doing with it?" Starlight didn't answer right away. She looked away, like she didn't want to say it out loud. "Making something," she said finally. "Something that listens." Eddie felt cold. "They can't control you," Starlight added quickly. "Not like that. Not unless you let them, but unless they can try to make a version that has no Eddie." Eddie's mind flashed to a black thing in a tank, grown like meat, trained like a dog. He clenched his fists. Venom's teeth showed for a second without him meaning to. "We stopped them." Starlight nodded. "Yes," she said, "but not alone." Eddie's eyes narrowed. "The boys." Starlight's face tightened. "They want to use you," she admitted, "but they also want Vought to bleed. Sometimes those goals overlap." Eddie breathed out. He hated that the best path forward was through people he didn't trust. In a different part of the city, Victoria Newman watched the news from her office, smiling in a way that looked kind. Her eyes were not kind. A staffer said, "It's terrifying. People are panicking." Newman tilted her head. "People always panic," she said. "The question is who guides them out of it." Her aide hesitated. "Vought will spin it." Newman's smile stayed. "Vought spins everything," she said, "but this isn't their usual mess." She leaned back, fingers steepled. "A new creature," she murmured. "A new fear. A new reason to hand someone more power." She looked at the screen where Homelander smiled. Then she looked at the frame where the human face flickered under the black shell. Newman's voice softened. "And a new person to put in my pocket," she said. Back at Vought, the lab moved at full speed. The sample in the case pulsed. When a scientist warmed one side of the glass, the black matter flowed toward it like it wanted to crawl into the heat. When a speaker played a high squeal, the sample jerked away like it had been slapped. They recorded every reaction. They labeled every response. On a second table, they prepared a host, not a volunteer, not a willing partner. A sedated man with Vought paperwork stamped on his file. A nobody. "Bonding attempt 1, a scientist said. They opened the case and let the sample touch the man's skin. The black matter spread fast, too fast, as if starving. It crawled up his arm, his chest, his neck. For one bright second, it looked like it might form. Then the man's body convulsed. His heart rate spiked. The black matter recoiled like it tasted something wrong. The man screamed through the sedation. The scientists backed away. The sample tore itself free and snapped back into the case like a frightened animal. A scientist whispered, shaken. It rejected him. Edgar watched from behind the glass, calm. Then he was not the correct host, Edgar said. The scientist swallowed. "We may need enhanced physiology." Edgar nodded once, like the solution was obvious. "Bring me a soup candidate," he said. In the safe house, Butcher got the message from Starlight through a chain of contacts he didn't admit he had. "They have a sample. They're trying to bond it." Butcher's grin came back. "Right," he said. "So we cracked the lab." MM's eyes widened. "We're not storming, Vought." "We're not storming the tower," Butcher replied. "We're sneaking into the dirty basement where they keep the real bodies." Huey's voice rose. "And civilians will get hurt." Butcher stepped closer, face hard. "Civilians are already hurt. They always are. We're just trying to stop the next batch." Huey shook his head. "Not like this." Butcher's stare sharpened. "Like what, mate? Like an adult?" MM cut in, voice firm. "Enough." Frenchie lifted a small device from the table. It looked like a phone taped to a speaker and a battery pack. "I can build a focused sound burst," Frenchie said. "Small. Directed? Not a citywide scream." Huey stared at it. "You're building a weapon." Frenchie's eyes stayed honest. "I'm building a seatbelt," he said. "Seatbelts are also weapons if you use them wrong." Kimiko signed quickly. Huey translated, quieter. "She says, if the monster is choosing people, then we don't punish it for what it looks like." Butcher scoffed. "We punish it if it turns." MM looked at Butcher. "And we don't push it to turn." Butcher didn't answer, because he couldn't promise that. That night, Eddie made the choice he hated. He met the boys again in a place that smelled like old oil and damp concrete. They didn't greet him warmly. Butcher didn't do warm. Butcher stood with his hands in his pockets, like he owned the room. "All right," Butcher said. "You want to be a hero?" Eddie's eyes narrowed. "I want to stop them from making more of this." Venom's voice slipped out, impatient. "We want our stolen piece back." Butcher's eyebrows lifted. "Yeah," he said. "That too." Huey stepped forward, hands up, trying to be the human in the room. "Listen," Huey said to Eddie. We're not trying to control you." Butcher coughed loudly. "Speak for yourself." Huey shot him a look, then turned back. "We want proof," Huey said. "Hard proof. And we want to stop the lab." Eddie breathed out. "Proof is my job," he said. Butcher smiled like a knife. "Good," he said. "Then you're useful." Eddie's jaw clenched. Venom growled. Eddie forced the words out before Venom did something dumb. "I'm not your weapon," Eddie said. Butcher's smile didn't move. "Course you are," Butcher said. "Everyone is." Huey cut in quickly, voice tight. "Butcher." Butcher waved him off. "Fine," Butcher said. "Call it a partnership if that helps you sleep. We hit a Vought black site. We take what we need. We leave." MM stepped closer, voice steady. "And if things go bad, we get civilians out first." Butcher rolled his eyes. Yeah, saints and all that." Eddie looked at each of them. He didn't trust Butcher. He didn't fully trust any of them. But he trusted Vought even less. He nodded once. "Show me where," Eddie said. Venom's voice came out soft, almost pleased. "We protect. Then we bite," Eddie snapped. "No biting!" Venom sighed like a person being asked not to breathe. In the distance, faint through the concrete, a siren wailed. Venom flinched. Eddie felt it like pain behind his eyes. And beneath that pain, something else appeared. Not sound, not heat. A feeling, like a smell, but inside the mind. Something familiar, something alive, something hurting. Venom's voice dropped to a whisper. "We are not alone." Eddie's blood went cold. "Where?" he asked. Venom didn't answer with a place. It answered with certainty. They made another. The black site didn't look like a black site. From the outside, it looked like a normal industrial building near a shipping yard. No giant Vought logo, no shiny glass, just gray walls and security lights. That was the point. If you drove past it, you'd never look twice. But when Butcher showed Eddie the satellite shots and the delivery logs, Eddie understood what it really was. "It's a cage," Eddie said. "A lab," Frenchie corrected. "A slaughterhouse lab." They planned like people who'd done this too many times. MM marked exits. Huey mapped cameras. Frenchie checked power lines and speaker systems like he was already thinking about sound. Kimiko watched all of it without speaking, eyes tracking threats that weren't on paper. Butcher did what Butcher always did. He looked for the one thing to break. And Eddie looked for proof. Not rumors, not feelings. A file, a drive, a recording. Something that would still be true after Vought lied for the 5th time. "This is what I do," Eddie muttered. Venom answered inside him, impatient. "We do what we do. We stop bad men." Eddie tightened the straps on the small pack Huey gave him. "We stop them by showing the world," Eddie said. "Not just by breaking heads." Venom made a sound that could have been a laugh or a growl. Both is good. They moved at night because daylight belonged to cameras. They went in through a service tunnel that smelled like salt water and rust. Starlight wasn't with them. She couldn't be seen near them. But she had left a door unlocked in the system, and that was her way of choosing a side without saying it out loud. Huey's hand shook as he worked a keypad. "I hate this," Huey whispered. Butcher leaned close, voice like gravel. "Then don't get caught." Huey shot him a look and kept working. The door clicked. They slipped inside. The hallway was clean. Too clean. It smelled like bleach and cold air. Eddie's skin crawled under the symbiote like it recognized the place as wrong. Venom's voice went quiet, focused. "Smell it. Here. Here." Eddie swallowed. He could feel it too now. That same inner smell of something like venom. But thinner. Newer. Like a knife still being sharpened. They passed a room where men in lab coats stood behind glass, watching something on a table. Eddie glanced in. He wished he hadn't. A person lay strapped, down, not dead, not asleep, just stuck. Black matter moved on their skin in patches, trying to spread, then pulling back, as if confused. The person sobbed. A scientist spoke into a recorder. Host rejection continues. Increased aggression in the sample. MM's jaw tightened. We get that person out. Butcher grabbed his arm. Not yet. MM's eyes flashed. Not yet? Butcher's voice stayed low. We blow this now. The whole place locks down. We'll get everyone out. But we do it in order. glared, but he didn't pull away. Huey looked like he might vomit. Eddie stared through the glass, anger rising. Venom's voice rumbled. They hurt. We stop. Eddie's mouth went tight. Soon, he whispered. They moved deeper. More doors, more keypads, more quiet. Then they reached a room where the air felt different. Colder, heavier. Like the building itself didn't want you breathing. Frenchie held up his hand. Wait, he whispered. He pointed. A speaker in the corner. Not normal. New. Mounted like a weapon. Frenchie's face tightened. They learned, he said softly. Butcher looked pleased. Of course they did. Eddie's stomach sank. They're building sound traps, Eddie whispered. Venom's voice turned sharp. Cowards. Huey swallowed. Can you handle it if they use it? Eddie didn't answer. Because he didn't know. Venom answered anyway. Stubborn as always. We will. Eddie hissed inside. Stop promising. They slipped past the speaker room without triggering it. At the next door, a sign read, Research Wing C, restricted. Butcher pulled out a stolen badge. Ladies first, he whispered to Huey. Huey flipped him off without looking and scanned the badge. The lock opened. Inside, the room was larger than the others, with high ceilings and thick glass walls. Cables ran along the floor like veins. Machines hummed with a steady, hungry sound. In the center was a large tank. The fluid inside it was dark, not black like Venom, more like deep red mixed with oil. Eddie stopped breathing, because he could feel it. Venom didn't just smell it now. Venom recognized it. Venom's voice came out low, shocked in a way Eddie hadn't heard before. Child. Eddie's throat tightened. They grew it, he whispered. Stared at the tank, face hard. That's not a sample, he said. That's a whole damn creature. On the far side of the room, behind another glass wall, a soup sat in a chair with restraints on his wrists. He looked strong, too strong for normal. His eyes were unfocused, like he was drugged. A scientist spoke to him through an intercom. If bonding succeeds, the scientist said, you will be the first of a new line. You will be essential. The soup mumbled, half awake. What is it? The scientist smiled like a teacher. It's improvement, she said. Venom's body tensed around Eddie. The black suit thickened, as if preparing to fight even, though Eddie hadn't moved. Eddie forced himself to stay still. He was here for proof. He looked around, searching for a console, a drive, anything. Huey saw it too. A main terminal near the tank with a blinking green light and a cable leading to a data unit. Huey whispered, I can pull the files. Butcher nodded. Do it. Huey crept toward the terminal. Frenchie stayed back, eyes on the speaker units in the corners, hands on his own device. Kimiko watched the drugged soup, her gaze full of quiet fury. Watched the exits. Eddie watched the tank, because the red-black fluid inside it rippled as if it heard them. Venom whispered, almost pleading. It is afraid. Eddie's voice was tight. So am I. Huey plugged in a drive. The terminal beeped once. The scientist's head snapped up. What was that? She said. Alarms didn't blare right away. Vought didn't do loud at first. They did quiet. The lights shifted slightly. Locks clicked behind them. A calm voice came over the intercom. Unauthorized presence detected, it said. Please remain where you are." Butcher smiled. "Now we're having fun." Hissed, "Butcher!" Then the tank cracked. Not like glass shattering, like something inside pushing outward. A line of fluid spilled down the side. The red-black mass inside moved, fast and violent, slamming against the tank wall again. The glass spiderwebbed. Venom's whole body jerked, like it felt the impact in its bones. "It wakes," Venom said. Eddie's heart hammered. "Huey!" he snapped. "How long?" Huey's fingers flew over the keyboard. 30 seconds, maybe less." The tank exploded. Fluid flooded the floor. The red-black symbiote surged out in a wave, not crawling, launching. It didn't form a face first, it formed speed. It wrapped around the drugged soup in the chair like a hungry blanket. The super convulsed once. Then he screamed. Then the scream turned into a laugh that didn't sound like him anymore. The red symbiote hardened into armor, spikes, a jawline full of teeth that looked sharper than Venom's. It stood up, snapping restraints like string. And when it turned toward Eddie, Eddie felt something chilling. It wasn't curious. It wasn't confused. It was born angry. Venom's voice rumbled, pained. They made it wrong. The new creature tilted its head, listening to Venom like it could hear him through the air. Then it spoke with a voice that sounded like a person drowning in rage. "Mine," it said. Eddie's stomach dropped. "It thinks you're its owner?" Venom's voice turned hard. "It thinks we are food." The red creature lunged. Venom moved without asking Eddie. It threw itself forward and met the red thing midair. The impact sent both of them crashing into a metal rack. Tools and machines flew. Eddie's body rattled inside the suit, pain flashing down his spine. Venom didn't slow. It formed a thick hammer arm and slammed it down. The red creature didn't dodge. It caught Venom's arm and twisted, using Venom's own mass against him, slamming Venom into the floor. The floor dented. Eddie's vision sparked. Venom snarled and reshaped fast, turning its arm into a blade, trying to cut free. The red creature's body flowed around the blade like it was water. It laughed again. Frenchie backed up, eyes wide. "It is like you," he whispered. "But it is cruel." Grabbed Huey's shoulder. "Files!" Huey yanked out the drive. "Got them!" Butcher's eyes stayed on the fight like he was watching fireworks. "Oi!" Butcher shouted at Eddie. "You want to be a hero? Drag that thing out of here." Eddie's voice came out angry. "It's not that simple." Venom's voice snapped inside him. "He talks too much." Eddie shot back inside. "So do you." And yes, Eddie realized with horror, he had said part of that out loud. Butcher's eyebrows lifted, amused even now. "Roommates," Butcher muttered. "Brilliant." The red creature slammed Venom into a glass wall, cracking it. Behind the glass, 2 lab techs screamed and ran. The red creature didn't chase them. It stayed on Venom, because it wanted Venom. It formed tendrils like spears and drove them down, pinning Venom's shoulders. Venom's body thickened to resist. The tendrils sank anyway. Not deep, not bloody, but enough to lock Venom in place. Eddie gritted his teeth, face tight with pain. Venom growled, furious. Then Venom did something smart. It didn't fight the pin with strength. It changed shape. It liquefied around the tendrils and slipped free like oil, leaving the red creature holding nothing. Venom rolled behind it, formed a thick shield, and slammed the shield into the red creature's back, driving it forward. The red creature hit the terminal station. It ripped the monitor off and threw it at Venom. Venom caught it, crushed it, and tossed it aside. Frenchie stepped forward, holding his device with both hands. He aimed it like a gun. "Eddie!" Frenchie shouted. "I can hit it with the sound. It will stagger." Eddie's eyes widened. "And Venom?" Frenchie's face tightened. "It will hurt him too." Huey yelled. "Don't!" Butcher barked. "Do it!" shouted. "Wait!" Everything happened at once. The red creature lunged again, mouth wide, teeth ready, aiming straight for Venom's head like it wanted to swallow him whole. Venom raised an arm to block. Frenchie made the choice because there was no clean choice. He hit the button. A tight, focused sound burst shot across the room. Not a huge scream, not citywide. More like a sharp drill of noise aimed at one spot. The red creature froze mid-lunge. It jerked like it had been punched inside the brain. Venom flinched too, hard, dropping to one knee as Eddie's skull rang like a bell. Eddie cried out, voice breaking. Venom snarled, shaking. But the red creature took the worst of it. It stumbled back, claws scraping the floor, head snapping side to side like it wanted to tear the sound out of the air. Eddie forced himself upright through the pain. "Now!" he shouted. Venom moved, even hurt. It threw a net of black tendrils around the red creature's arms and legs, binding it tight. Grabbed Huey. "Move!" Kimiko sprinted toward the glass wall, where the strapped victim from earlier was still visible in another room down the hall. She didn't wait for permission. She smashed the lock with a kick and yanked the door open. The trapped person sobbed as she freed them. Kimiko lifted them like they weighed nothing and carried them out. Butcher's eyes flicked to that, annoyed, but he didn't stop her, because even he knew the difference between a mission and a massacre. Then the building shook. A boom hit the upper floor, like something heavy landing. Dust fell from the ceiling. MM's eyes widened. No. Butcher's smile vanished. Oh, for a second boom, closer, then a third. And Eddie felt it, even without seeing it. That pressure, that ego, that predator. Homelander. The lights flickered. A calm voice came over the intercom again, but it sounded strained now. "Mr. Homelander has arrived on site," it said, like announcing a storm. Venom's head snapped toward the ceiling. Eddie's breath caught. "We have to go." Butcher grabbed Huey's arm. "Not until we blow it." Snapped. "If Homelander sees us, we're dead!" Butcher's eyes were wild. "Then don't let him see you!" Eddie's voice came out sharp. "He can hear hearts!" Silence hit for one terrifying beat. Venom whispered, tense. "He is coming." The ceiling exploded inward. Homelander dropped into the room through a hole like he was the law of gravity given a face. He landed lightly. His eyes swept the scene. The boys, the lab, the red creature bound in black tendrils, the broken tank. Then his gaze landed on Venom. Homelander's smile was small and mean. "Well," he said, "look what you dragged out of the sky." Butcher muttered, "Oh, this is going to be a nightmare." Homelander's eyes flicked to Butcher, then to Huey, then to His smile widened. "Aw," Homelander said, "the whole little club is here." MM's body went rigid. Huey looked like he might pass out. Homelander looked back at the red creature. "And you," he said to the lab techs behind the remaining glass, "made a copy." He laughed softly. "You idiots," he said, almost pleased. "You didn't tell me." A lab tech stammered. "We were going to—" Homelander's eyes flashed. The glass behind the tech cracked as heat touched it, not fully blasting through, just enough to make the point. The tech shut up. Homelander stepped toward Venom, slow and confident. "Here's what's going to happen," he said. "You're going to stop running. You're going to come with me, and I'm going to decide what you are." Venom's teeth showed. Eddie felt rage rise. Hot and dangerous. Venom spoke, voice like stone. "We decide." Homelander's smile dropped. He moved. A punch hit Venom's chest like a wrecking ball. Venom flew backward into a machine. Metal screamed. Sparks burst. Eddie's lungs emptied in one harsh gasp. Homelander was already there again, grabbing Venom's throat. He lifted Venom off the ground with one hand, like the first time on the street. "But this time," Homelander said softly, "there are no cameras to make me nice." Venom's hands grabbed Homelander's wrist, trying to pry it off. It was like trying to pry steel. Eddie's vision blurred. Venom's body thickened around the neck to resist crushing. Homelander squeezed anyway. Then the red creature screamed. Not from pain, from jealousy. It tore at the black tendrils binding it, muscles swelling, spikes forming, ripping free with brute anger. It lunged at Homelander from behind. Homelander turned his head slightly, annoyed, and backhanded it without looking. The red creature flew across the room, slamming into a wall, but it bounced back up fast, faster than a normal soup. It rushed again. Because it didn't fear Homelander. It feared losing Venom, and that was stupid, but it was also dangerous. Homelander snarled, eyes glowing. He fired heat vision at the red creature. The red symbiote flinched, smoking at the edges, but it didn't die. It reshaped, thickening armor, protecting the host. Homelander's eyes narrowed. "So you're tough too," he said. "Great." Eddie felt Venom's thoughts racing with his. Heat hurts. Sound hurts. We cannot stay in open space. Eddie forced out words through the grip. "People are in here," he gasped. "Civilians." Homelander's eyes flicked to the freed hostages Kimiko was dragging out. For half a second, something cold and blank passed over his face. Then he smiled. "Then they shouldn't have been," he said. MM's voice broke with fury. "You sick!" Butcher grabbed MM's shoulder, yanking him back. "Move!" he snapped. Huey clutched the drive like it was his last breath. Frenchie's hand shook as he lifted the sound device again. He looked at Eddie like he was asking forgiveness without words. Eddie's eyes met his for a split second. Eddie gave a tiny nod. Frenchie hit the button again. The focused sound burst hit near Homelander's head. Homelander's face tightened. It didn't drop him. It didn't stop him. But it irritated him. Like a mosquito that wouldn't die. Venom flinched and used that tiny moment. It surged upward, covering Homelander's face with black mass again, blinding him. Homelander roared, heat vision blasting wild for a second, carving lines into the ceiling. Venom tore free, dropping to the floor, dragging Eddie's body with it. Eddie stumbled, barely steady. Venom snapped its head toward the exit. Now. Kimiko ran first, carrying the freed person. MM and Huey followed, Butcher right behind, furious and fast. Frenchie backed up, holding the device like a shield. Eddie ran last, Venom forming around him as armor, coughing through the pain in his skull. Behind them, Homelander ripped the black mass off his face and turned, eyes burning. He saw them leaving. He saw Butcher. He saw the drive in Huey's hand. His smile vanished. "Oh no," Homelander said, voice low. "You don't get to leave with my secrets." He launched forward. The red creature launched too, still obsessed, slamming into Homelander's side in a tackle that actually moved him a step. It wasn't stronger than him, but it was heavy, stubborn, and fueled by rage. Homelander snarled, grabbed it by the head, and slammed it into the floor. The floor cracked. Then he looked up again, and the boys were almost out. Homelander's eyes flashed. Heat vision cut down the hallway like a blade. Venom threw itself sideways, forming a black wall between the beam and the group. The beam burned through the shield, but the shield kept layering, reforming, buying seconds. Seconds were enough. They hit the emergency exit. They burst into the night air. They ran. Behind them, the black site screamed with alarms now, lights flashing, locks cycling. Homelander stepped into the doorway of the building, cape fluttering, eyes glowing like rage made visible. He didn't chase right away. He looked up at the night sky, listening. Then he looked down at the street, where a small Vote security drone hovered. He smiled into its lens. "Tell Edgar," Homelander said, calm and deadly, "this is mine now." Inside the building, the red creature rose from the cracked floor, smoking at the edges, shaking its head like it wanted to tear the pain out. It looked toward the exit where Venom had gone. Its voice came out like a promise. "Mine," it whispered again. In a dark alley far from the site, the group finally stopped. Huey clutched the drive to his chest, breathing hard. checked the freed hostage's pulse, steady and alive. Kimiko stood guard, eyes scanning rooftops. Frenchie lowered his device with shaking hands. Butcher looked at Eddie like he was deciding whether to thank him or threaten him. He chose neither. He nodded once, sharp. "You got the proof?" Butcher asked Huey. Huey swallowed. "Yeah," he said. "I got everything." Eddie leaned against a brick wall, head pounding, throat raw. Venom's voice was low and furious. "They hurt us. They stole us. They made wrong, child." Eddie closed his eyes. "And now," Eddie whispered, "we have to tell the world." Butcher's grin came back, thin and hungry. "World won't believe it till it's forced," he said. "So we force it." Above them, far away, sirens wailed. Venom flinched, and Eddie winced with him. And somewhere in the city's dark, the red thing moved for the first time without Vought glass around it, hunting by instinct and anger. The leak didn't start with a grand speech. It started with one file sent to, one small account, then another, then 10. A drip that turned into a flood. And for the first time in a long time, Vaught's story began to crack. 2 weeks changed the city's noise. Not the sirens, not the traffic, the talking. People argued about the black monster in cafes and on trains and in comment sections that never slept. Some called it an alien demon. Some called it the only real hero in town. Vought pushed its story hard. But the leak from the black site would not go away. Videos of strapped people, lab notes, security footage, a timeline that showed planning, not accidents. Vought tried to bury it with louder headlines. It didn't work the way it used to. Eddie Brock learned the new rules fast. In this world, you didn't need to be right. You needed to be louder than the lie. Or you needed a lie so big it could crush the truth under it. So Eddie stayed small. He moved at night. He picked places with lots of exits. He avoided big crowds. He avoided sirens. And he tried to do what he always did, even when his body wasn't fully his anymore. He gathered proof. He recorded faces. He saved audio. He backed up files in 3 places. He sent copies to people he didn't like, because people he didn't like were often harder to silence. Venom hated this routine. "Too much hiding," Venom complained one night, as Eddie crouched in a half-built apartment tower and watched a Vought convoy roll through the street below. Eddie held his phone steady, filming the license plates. "We're not hiding," Eddie whispered. "We're surviving." "We could take the convoy," Venom insisted. "Flip the trucks. Bite the drivers." "No biting," Eddie hissed. Then, "Flip without biting." Eddie almost smiled, then stopped himself. Still no. Venom went quiet for a moment, sulking like a roommate told to wash dishes. Then Venom spoke again, softer. "People are hurting." Eddie swallowed. "I know." That was the part that tore him in half. Because Venom was right. The city was full of people hurting. The leak had made some people brave. It had made Vought angry. And when Vought got angry, it got dangerous. Homelander got dangerous too. He didn't go on TV as much. When he did, he smiled and promised safety. Then he vanished into the sky and hunted in private. But he didn't hunt like a cop. He hunted like a bully who had been laughed at once and never forgot. Starlight noticed it first in the quiet way she noticed everything. She stood on a rooftop across from a hospital, hood up, hands cold, watching the entrance. A Vought security team had been protecting the building for days. It looked like kindness. It felt like control. She heard the soft boom of air movement before she saw him. Homelander landed behind her like he owned the roof. "You're getting good at sneaking," he said. Starlight didn't turn right away. She kept watching the hospital doors. "If you wanted to talk," she said, "you could have called." Homelander laughed, short and sharp. And let you ignore me? No thanks. Starlight turned slowly. She kept her face calm because panic was what he wanted. Homelander's eyes flicked over her like she was a report he didn't like. You've been near the leaks, he said. Near the wrong people. Near the wrong thing. Starlight's voice stayed even. You mean the thing that saved a bus full of kids while you posed for cameras? Homelander's smile vanished so fast, it was like someone switched it off. You want to do this? He asked softly. Starlight didn't flinch. I want you to stop pretending. Homelander stepped closer. The air felt tight around him. You know what I think? He said. I think you want that thing to be real. Because if it's real, then you don't have to feel stupid for believing in heroes. Starlight's chest hurt, but she didn't look away. Homelander leaned in, voice gentle like poison. Tell me where it is, he said, and I'll forgive you. Starlight's jaw set. No. Homelander's eyes narrowed. No? Starlight shook her head once. You don't get to forgive me, she said. You're not my god. For a second, Starlight thought he might hit her. Instead, he smiled again. It was worse. Okay, he said. Then I'll find it myself. He looked up at the sky like he was listening to the whole city at once. Then he looked back down at her. And when I do, he said, I'm going to make sure everyone sees what happens when you pick the wrong side. He lifted off the roof without another word. Starlight stood there, breathing hard, hands shaking only after he was gone. She pulled out her phone and typed one message with fingers that didn't want to work. He's hunting. He's close. She sent it to a number Eddie told her not to use, unless it was life or death. Eddie read the message 10 minutes later, in a stairwell that smelled like dust and old paint. His stomach dropped. Venom felt it too, like a change in the air. He comes, Venom said. Low. Eddie stared at the screen. We can't keep doing this, he whispered. We can fight him, Venom answered, stubborn as ever. Eddie's mouth went tight. Not like this. Not in the open. Not with him. Venom's voice rose, annoyed. Then we should leave this world. Eddie blinked. We can't just... Venom cut in, blunt. We fell from the sky once. We can do it again. Eddie squeezed his eyes shut. That's not a plan. That's a wish. Venom went silent. Then it said, softer than before. We are tired. Eddie opened his eyes. That honesty hit harder than Homelander's punches. Yeah, Eddie whispered. Me too. In the safe house, the boys were arguing like they always did when they were scared. Huey paced with the drive copies in his backpack, like they were a bomb. The leaks are working, he said. People are seeing it. That's good. Butcher sat at the table, cleaning a gun that he pretended was for someone else. Seeing isn't doing, Butcher said. Vaught's still standing. Slammed a hand on the counter. We can't just keep lighting fires and walking away. People get caught in the smoke. Butcher looked up, eyes cold. And people get caught when we do nothing too. Frenchie lifted his sound device and set it down like it was heavy with guilt. We have a big problem, he said. We used the sound twice. We know it works. Vought knows it works. Huey stopped pacing. They're building more? Frenchie nodded. More and better. Directed. Mounted. Like weapons. Kimiko signed sharply, face tense. Huey translated, voice quiet. She says, the red one is out there. It will kill people and blame Venom. MM's jaw tightened. That's what Vought will do, he said. They'll call it the same thing. Butcher's mouth curled. Then we don't let them control the story. Huey snapped. We don't get to control people either. Butcher stood, slow. You want to win? He asked. Then grow up. Huey's eyes burned. I am grown up, he said. That's why I don't want to become you. The room went still. Butcher's face didn't change, but something behind his eyes shifted, like an old wound got poked. He turned away first. "Venom's our best shot," Butcher said, voice rough. "And he's not going to stay if we treat him like an animal." Stared at him. "You just called him leverage." Butcher didn't deny it. "Yeah," he said. "And I'm telling you the truth. If we want him near, we need to offer him something he actually wants." Huey frowned. "Like what?" Butcher's voice went flat. "A target." Eddie arrived mid-argument, Venom tight under his skin like it was bracing for betrayal. He didn't enter through the front door. He entered through a broken window, because Eddie trusted windows more than people. Butcher didn't even turn fully. "Perfect timing," he said. "We were talking about you." Eddie's eyes narrowed. "I hate when people do that." Venom rumbled, almost like a warning growl. Huey stepped forward quickly. "We're not plotting against you," he said. "We're trying to survive," Eddie finished, tired. "Same as me." MM's voice was steady. "Homelander is hunting," he said. "We heard. Starlight, too." Eddie nodded once. "He's close." Butcher tapped the table. "So here's the play," he said. "We take the fight to where it hurts." Eddie stared. "Where?" Butcher smiled like a man who loved bad ideas. "Vought's doing a public safety hearing tomorrow," he said. "Big stage, big cameras, big promises. Edgar's going to stand there and tell the world they need more power to stop alien threats." Huey's face tightened. "He'll use Venom as an excuse." Butcher nodded. "Exactly." Frenchie leaned in. "They will also show new tech," he said. "I have sources. Sonic gear, heat barriers, things made to stop your friend." Venom's voice snapped inside Eddie. "We are not his friend," Eddie whispered back inside. "Stop. We don't have time." Out loud, Eddie said, "So you want me to crash the hearing?" Butcher shrugged. "I want you to exist near it. Vought will try to capture you. We catch them in the act. We drop the truth on their heads." Frowned. "And civilians?" Butcher's smile faded. "We keep civilians out," he said. "We evacuate routes. We choose our moment." Huey looked at Eddie, eyes pleading. "You don't have to do this," he said. "You can leave." Eddie's throat tightened. Venom said softly inside him, "We do not run from hurting people." Eddie felt the weight of it. Then he remembered the strapped person sobbing in the glass room. He remembered the bus. He remembered Homelander saying people shouldn't have been there. Eddie exhaled. "We do it," he said. Butcher's grin returned. "Good," he said. "Now we're talking." The next day, the hearing took place in a downtown plaza dressed up like a celebration. Metal detectors, barriers, flags, screens, a stage with perfect lighting, Vought security everywhere, smiling like they were friendly. Edgar stepped up to the microphone like he was teaching a class. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He spoke like a calm parent explaining danger to children. "We have seen a new threat," Edgar said. "A non-human entity with unknown goals. We must prepare." Behind him, a big screen showed the worst clips of Venom. Teeth, screams, a van being crushed. The camera never lingered on the bus safe. People murmured. Then Edgar gestured to the side. A clean-looking weapon system rolled out. Sleek, mounted speakers, heat emitters, a set of tools designed by people who had studied Venom's pain. "This," Edgar said, "is our answer." On a rooftop across the plaza, Eddie crouched behind an air unit, watching through a broken pair of binoculars Huey had handed him. Venom's skin tightened. Eddie's teeth clenched. "Those speakers," Eddie whispered. "Hate them," Venom said. Eddie's earpiece crackled. Huey's voice came through. "Okay," Huey said. "We're in position. Frenchie's got jammers ready. has evac routes. Starlight is moving civilians away from the front. Butcher's voice cut in. And you, mate, stay out of sight until they show their hand. If you pop out too early, they'll just lie. Eddie swallowed. What if they don't show their hand? What if they just talk? Butcher's laugh was quiet. They'll show it, he said. They can't help themselves. Edgar continued speaking. Some believe this creature is a hero, he said. They are mistaken. Real heroes are accountable. A second voice drifted across the rooftop, not through the earpiece, through the air. Accountable, Homelander said behind Eddie, amused. That's a funny word for him. Eddie's blood froze. Venom surged up instantly, black rising like a shield around Eddie's shoulders. Eddie spun. Homelander hovered a foot above the rooftop, arms relaxed, smiling like he was visiting a friend. You picked a great seat, Homelander said. You get the best view. Eddie's throat went tight. How did you? Homelander tilted his head. I listened, he said simply. Your heart is loud when you're scared. Venom's teeth showed. Homelander's smile widened. There it is, he said. Show me the face. Eddie forced his voice steady. We're not here to fight. Homelander laughed like that was adorable. Oh, you are, he said. You just don't know it. His eyes flicked down to the plaza. Edgar was still speaking. The new weapons gleamed under the lights. Homelander looked back at Eddie. You know what I hate? Homelander asked softly. I hate when something makes me look small. Venom growled. Homelander didn't flinch. He leaned closer, voice lowering. So here's my offer, he said. Join me. Be my monster. I'll let you eat the bad guys. I'll point you at whoever you want. Eddie's stomach twisted. It was tempting in the most disgusting way. It was permission to stop pretending, wrapped in a smile. Eddie heard Venom's hunger stir at the promise of freedom. Then Eddie pictured Homelander's face when he said, civilians shouldn't have been there. Eddie's jaw set. No, Eddie said. Homelander blinked once, then his smile thinned. No, he repeated, like he couldn't believe the word existed. Eddie swallowed the fear and kept going. We don't serve you, Eddie said. We don't serve anyone. Homelander's eyes hardened. Wrong answer. He moved. The punch didn't just hit. It exploded Eddie backward into the roof gravel. Venom caught the force, thickening, spreading it out. Eddie still felt his bones rattle. Homelander grabbed Venom by the throat again, lifting him, eyes burning with private rage. Down below, Edgar kept speaking. The crowd clapped on cue. Homelander whispered, "No cameras up here," like it was a gift. Venom's voice came out rough. "We protect." Homelander snarled, "Shut up!" He drove Venom toward the roof edge. Eddie saw the plaza below, the crowd, the stage, the weapons. If Homelander threw him down there, it would be a public execution, or a public capture. Either way, Vought would win. Eddie's mind raced. His hand brushed his earpiece. "Butcher," he gasped. "He's here!" Static. Then Butcher's voice, sharp. "I know. I saw him lift off. Hold, mate, hold!" Eddie's eyes stung. He couldn't hold against a god punching him in the throat. Venom did what Venom always did when strength wasn't enough. It changed the battlefield. A thick tendril shot out and wrapped a rooftop antenna. Venom yanked, swinging their bodies sideways like a wrecking ball. Homelander's grip held, but his angle broke. His balance shifted. Venom slammed both of them into a rooftop utility box. Metal crumpled. Homelander's face twisted with irritation more than pain. He was still stronger, still faster, still in control. But for half a second he wasn't perfect, and Eddie used that half second. He shouted, loud, raw, into the rooftop air. "Hey!" Homelander's eyes flicked to him, annoyed. Eddie screamed the next words like he was throwing a rock at a lion. "Look down!" Homelander didn't want to, but he did. because he couldn't stand the thought of missing something. Down in the plaza, the red creature burst out from beneath a Vought transport truck. It had been hiding in the city's dark for days, tracking the smell of symbiote tech. It didn't understand speeches. It understood hunger and jealousy. It slammed into the crowd barriers, sending people sprawling. Screams rose. Vought security panicked. The mounted speaker weapons turned toward the red creature automatically, like machines following training. Edgar stopped speaking for the first time. For one clear second, his calm cracked. Then he recovered. "Activate containment," Edgar said into a hidden mic. The speakers screamed. A focused sonic blast hit the red creature. It stumbled, jerking, smoking at the edges. But it didn't stop. It lunged toward the stage. Because it could feel Venom above, even if it didn't know where. It wanted Venom like a missing piece. Homelander stared down, shocked and furious. "They made another one?" he snarled. Venom used that distraction again. It surged up, covering Homelander's eyes with black mass, blinding him. Homelander roared, heat vision blasting wild, cutting a clean line across a rooftop sign. Venom tore free and jumped, not into the crowd, away from them. It dropped to a lower roof, then another, moving fast, low, using angles Homelander hated. Eddie's earpiece crackled. Huey's voice was frantic. "It's happening!" Huey shouted. "The red one is here! People are getting hurt!" MM's voice cut through, steady but urgent. "Evac is moving. Starlight's directing. Eddie, if you can stop it without killing anyone, do it!" Butcher's voice came last, hard. "And don't you dare let Vought catch you." Eddie's chest heaved. He looked down at the plaza. The red creature was ripping through metal barriers, not aiming for civilians on purpose, but not caring if they got crushed in the chaos. Vaught's speakers screamed again and again. Civilians covered their ears. Kids cried. People tripped and fell. Eddie's head rang just hearing it from this distance. Venom flinched inside him, furious and pained. "They hurt everyone to hurt us," Venom growled. Eddie swallowed. "Then we end this fast," he whispered. Venom didn't argue. They launched off the roof and dropped into the plaza like a black storm. People screamed and scattered. Starlight stood near an exit corridor, hands up, blasting small light bursts to guide people away, not to fight. She saw Venom land and didn't smile. She just nodded, like go. The red creature turned at once, eyes locking on Venom with pure obsession. "Mine!" it roared. Venom's voice came out deeper. "No," Venom said. "Stop!" The red creature didn't stop. It lunged. Venom met it head-on, forming thick shield arms to catch the impact. The two symbiotes slammed together, black and red crashing like living tanks. Eddie felt the sound weapons prickle at the edges of his skull. He forced himself to ignore it. This fight couldn't be long. Venom didn't trade punches for pride. Venom fought like a net. It wrapped the red creature's arms, then its legs, then its torso, building layers fast. The red creature tore free once, twice, ripping black strands like ropes. Venom adapted. It shot tendrils low, anchoring into the stage supports, then yanked the red creature off balance, slamming it into the ground away from fleeing people. The crowd ran. Vought security tried to form a line. Then the speaker weapons pivoted, not at the red creature, at Venom. Edgar's voice came through the plaza speakers, calm and cold. "Non-lethal containment," he said. "Now." The sonic blast hit Venom like a hammer. Eddie screamed. Venom roared, dropping to one knee, black skin rippling like it wanted to fall apart. The red creature also flinched, but less. It had been made in a lab. It had been trained in pain. It was built to endure. That was the point. Homelander descended slowly behind Edgar's stage, eyes glowing, face tight with rage. He looked at Venom on one knee. He looked at the screaming crowd. Then he looked at Edgar. "You did this," Homelander hissed. Edgar didn't look up. "We prepared," Edgar said simply. "Unlike you." Homelander's hands clenched. Then his eyes found the cameras. There were always cameras. He forced his smile back on like a mask. "Everyone stay calm," Homelander called, loud and heroic. "We've got this!" Eddie's head rang. He could barely think. Venom's voice was strained. "We cannot breathe in this noise." Eddie forced words through clenched teeth. "Frenchie," he gasped into the earpiece. "Now." "Please." Frenchie's voice came back shaky. "I can jam one channel," he said. "Only one. Hold on." A sudden silence punched through one side of the sound wall. Not total silence, but enough. Venom surged up, grabbing the red creature and dragging it behind a thick metal sculpture away from the main speaker line. The red creature thrashed, claws cutting grooves in the pavement. Venom pinned it, not with one big hold, but with many small holds, layering, tightening, sealing. Eddie's eyes burned with pain and effort. "You don't get to be this," Eddie hissed at it, voice trembling. "You don't get to be their weapon." The red creature snapped, its jaws spitting rage. Venom leaned in, voice low and heavy. "We protect," Venom said. Then Venom did something Eddie didn't expect. Venom opened a gap in its own chest, like a mouth in armor. Not to eat, to share. It pushed a thin thread of itself into the red creature's armor, not like a bite, but like a connection. Eddie felt a flash, a lab, a tank, heat, pain, voices saying bonding attempt. No choice, no Eddie, no partner, only control. The red creature's rage wasn't just evil. It was fear that never learned another language. Eddie's throat tightened. "We can't save you," Eddie whispered, "but we can stop you from hurting people." Venom's voice stayed steady, even as the sonic weapon screamed again in the distance. "We end this," Venom said. Venom thickened around the red creature like a cocoon, sealing its limbs, sealing its jaw, tightening until movement was limited. Then, Venom dragged the bound red creature toward the edge of the plaza where a Vought transport cage waited. Not because Eddie wanted to give it to Vought, because Eddie wanted the cameras to see the truth. He wanted everyone to see what Vought did. Venom slammed the red creature into the open cage, then ripped the cage door off and threw it aside. The crowd saw the red thing clearly now. Not Venom. A second one. A copy. A lab-made nightmare. Huey, hidden in a nearby building with a laptop, hit upload on a new package. This one had a simple title. The second one. It included the lab footage, the bonding attempts, Edgar's meeting notes, the weapon test logs, the proof that the alien threat wasn't just an accident. It was a product. On the stage, Edgar's face tightened as his phone buzzed. His assistant whispered, "Pale." "It's everywhere." Edgar stared at the screen for one fraction of a second. Then he looked up at Homelander. Homelander's smile was still on for the cameras, but his eyes were furious. "You made me look stupid," Homelander whispered, too low for the mics. Edgar's voice stayed calm. "You did that yourself," he said. Homelander's hands shook, not from fear, from wanting to kill. He could kill Venom right now. He could blast him, tear him apart, drop him from the sky. But the plaza was full of phones, and the leak was already out. If Homelander murdered Venom in public after Venom had just exposed Vought's lab monster, the story would flip in a way even Vought might not control. And Homelander hated losing control more than he loved killing. Venom stood near the cage, breathing hard, shoulders rising and falling. Eddie's head still rang, his vision blurred at the edges. He looked at the crowd. People weren't cheering. They weren't clapping. They were staring. Some with fear, some with shock. and some with something Eddie hadn't expected in this world. Doubt. Homelander floated forward, stopping 10 feet away, eyes burning. He smiled at Venom like he was smiling at a dog that bit the wrong hand. "This doesn't end well for you," Homelander said softly. Venom's teeth showed, but it didn't lunge. Eddie forced himself to speak. "We're not your enemy," Eddie said, voice rough. "We're everyone's warning." Homelander's smile twitched. "A warning," he repeated, amused. "You think you're a symbol?" He leaned closer, voice quiet. "You're a stain," he whispered, "and I'm going to scrub you out." Venom's voice came out low. "Try," Venom said. Homelander's eyes flashed. Then he turned away, because cameras were watching, and he couldn't be seen losing his temper. He lifted his voice for the crowd. "Vought will investigate these claims," Homelander announced, heroic, "and we will keep you safe." He looked back at Venom one last time, eyes promising violence. Then he lifted off into the sky. Edgar watched him go, face unreadable. Then Edgar's eyes went to the cage with the red creature inside, thrashing weakly. Edgar's voice was calm as ever. "Clean up," he told his team. "We pivot." Eddie didn't wait for the next move. Venom grabbed Eddie's body and moved, low and fast, slipping into the chaos as people surged and security tried to regain order. Starlight caught Eddie's eye for 1 second. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. She just mouthed one word. "Run." Eddie ran. That night, in a quiet room with one lamp and no windows, Eddie sat on the floor with his back against a wall. The noise in his head was finally fading. Venom loosened around him, not leaving, just letting him breathe. Eddie stared at his hands like they belonged to someone else. "We did it," Eddie whispered. "We did not bite," Venom said, like it deserved a medal. Eddie let out a tired laugh. "Yeah," he said. "Good job." Venom paused, then added, slightly smug, "We only threatened biting." Eddie sighed. "That's still not progress." Venom went quiet. Then, softer than before, Venom said, "People saw." Eddie swallowed. His throat hurt. "Yeah," he whispered. "They saw." His phone buzzed with a message from Huey. "It's everywhere. They can't fully bury it. Not this time." Then another message from Butcher. "You're still a bloody nightmare, but you did good. Don't get cocky." Eddie stared at that one for a long time. Then Venom spoke, almost like it was thinking out loud. "We stay?" Eddie didn't answer right away. This world was ugly, loud, fake, dangerous. But it also had people like Starlight, people like Huey, even people like MM trying to keep a line from snapping. And it had victims who needed someone to show up when the heroes posed instead. Eddie exhaled. "We stay," he said. Venom's voice warmed, pleased in its simple way. "We protect." Eddie closed his eyes. "And we expose," he added. Venom made a sound that was almost a purr. "And maybe bite a little?" Eddie opened one eye. "No." Venom sighed, dramatic. Eddie almost smiled again. Then his phone buzzed one more time. A new number. No name, just a sentence. "You made a powerful enemy. If you ever want real protection, call me." Eddie's blood ran cold. Venom's teeth clicked softly. "Head popper," Venom said, like it had labeled her in its own blunt way. Eddie swallowed. The game wasn't over. It was just changing. The city looked different from a high rooftop. Not cleaner, not kinder, just smaller. Eddie sat on the ledge with his legs pulled in, jacket zipped, wind cold on his face. Venom didn't fully cover him. It rested under his skin like a heavy blanket. Below, police lights flashed in the distance. Sirens wailed. Venom flinched a little, then steadied. It was learning. Slowly. Eddie held a small recorder in his hand. Old school. No cloud. No fancy app. He pressed the button. "This is Eddie Brock," he said quietly. "If this gets found, it means something went wrong." He paused, listening to the city breathe. "I don't know why we landed here," he continued. "Maybe it was random, maybe it wasn't. But I know what I saw." He thought of the strapped person in the lab, the fear, the begging. "I saw a company take people apart and call it safety," Eddie said. "I saw a man in a cape smile while people screamed." Venom's voice rumbled softly inside him. "We saw." Eddie nodded, even though nobody could see it. "We're not clean," Eddie admitted. "We're not gentle. We scare people. Sometimes I hate that." He looked down at his hands again, then out at the city. "But tonight," Eddie said, "a kid went home because we were there. A stranger got freed because we were there. And Vought got exposed because we were there." He stopped recording for a second, thumb hovering. Venom spoke, quiet and oddly careful. "Do they hate us?" Eddie swallowed. "Some do," he said honestly. "Some always will." He clicked the recorder back on. "I don't need everyone to like me," Eddie said. "I need them to see what's real." He clicked it off. A soft sound came from behind him. A folded piece of paper slid across the rooftop gravel and stopped near his boot. Eddie turned fast. Venom rose slightly, ready. Nobody was there. Only the night. Eddie picked up the paper and unfolded it. The handwriting was messy, like someone wrote it while shaking. It only said, "I saw what you did." Eddie's chest tightened in a way that almost hurt. Venom read it too. Eddie felt the reaction like warmth behind his ribs. "Seen," Venom whispered. Eddie stared out at the city again. Far below, life kept moving. Cars, lights, people going home. People still trapped. People still fighting. Vought would keep lying. Homelander would keep hunting. Newman would keep smiling. And somewhere in the dark, rumors would spread about a monster who didn't act like they're monsters. Eddie folded the note carefully and put it in his pocket like it mattered. Then he stood, and Venom rose with him, forming around his shoulders like armor, not a cage. "We protect," Eddie said softly. Venom answered, steady and certain. "We protect." And the city, loud and cruel and alive, kept going, just different now.